Antarctica, Earth's southernmost continent. It contains the geographic South Pole and is situated in the Antarctic region of the southern hemisphere, almost entirely south of the Antarctic Circle, and is surrounded by the Southern Ocean. It is the fifth largest continent. For comparison, Antarctica is nearly twice the size of Australia. About 98% of Antarctica is covered by ice that averages 1.9 kilometers in thickness. Recently, however, many scientific discoveries of the frozen continent and unprecedented visits from world leaders like Putin and John Kerry have resurrected old to new rumors of supernatural occurrences and theories like ancient Antarctic civilizations, Nazi UFO military bases, Hollow Earth, and the wild and curious theory of the flat Earth. Nothing is clear about what is actually going on in Antarctica, but there are many unexplainable things that are still left unanswered, and the narrative suggests something is being kept secret. Antarctica has no indigenous population, and there's no evidence that it was seen by humans until the 19th century. However, there is a particular piece of evidence that may show otherwise. In 1929, a group of historians found an amazing trade map drawn on gazelle skin that was created by the Ottoman Empire. The map is now known as the Piri Reis map and appears to show the western coast of Africa, the eastern coast of South Africa, and the northern coast of Antarctica ice-free. The northern coastline of Antarctica is perfectly detailed. The most puzzling of the map is it shows a warm, ice-free coastline of Antarctica with signs of resources and the ability to support more life in this area than previously assumed. Geological evidence confirms that the latest state Queen Maud Land could have been charted in an ice-free state is 4000 BC. How can this be? Experts have debunked the map and reject the idea of the Piri Reis as a coincidence. Through modern science and mapping technology, it is now not accepted or even considered. Even though our technology is much more advanced than the ancient maps of the past, our images of Antarctica are not as you see them here, but rather more of a composite like this. Adding more doubt and reservation about what is told to us about Antarctica are the Google anomalies. Area 51 is one of the most secretive bases known on the planet, yet on Google Earth, you can clearly see there are no redactions of any sort. You would think with such a base decorated in secrecy, you would find some, but you don't. However, in Antarctica, it is quite a different story. There are many anomalies and redactions that are difficult to explain. Here you see a 14-mile structure of some sort in the middle of nowhere. If it is a 14-mile structure buried under the ice, what could it be? And why redacted? Not even Area 51 is redacted. And yet another interesting anomaly with a diameter of around 100 meters and a height of around 30 meters. Is this some sort of natural cave that has formed on the icy continent in the distant past? Or is it possible this is an entrance which appears to be man-made, an entrance to a secret military base of some sort? Whatever it could be, it does raise more questions about what is really going on in Antarctica. To further understand the curious history of Antarctica, we must revisit the first known explorers of the region. After Roald Amundsen, a Norwegian explorer, led the first successful but grueling expedition to the South Pole, many followed after him with curious motivations. Richard Evelyn Byrd was the first man who reached the North and South Pole by air. In his Antarctic trip, he involved 2 ships and 3 airplanes. In order to finance and gain both political and public support for his expeditions, Byrd cultivated relationships with many powerful individuals like President Franklin Roosevelt, Henry Ford, Edsel Ford, John D. Rockefeller, and Vincent Astor. There is much chatter in the conspiracy forums. Some of these individuals are said to be connected with global conspiracies and secret societies. After successfully exploring the icy continent in 1928 and 1934, Byrd had become a national hero and was internationally recognized for his accomplishments. In 1938, Byrd visited Hamburg and was invited to participate in the 1938-1939 German Neuschwabenland Antarctic expedition, but he declined. Although at the time Germany was not at war with the United States, Adolf Hitler had been serving the Führer of Germany. Much of the secret Nazi bases or lost Antarctic colony conspiracies can be tied to the Neuschwabenland expeditions to Antarctica. Whale oil was the official reason for the expedition to Antarctica. Germany was the second largest purchaser of Norwegian oil at the time, importing nearly 200,000 metric tons annually. Besides the disadvantage of being dependent on imports, it was thought that Germany would soon be at war, which was considered to put too much strain on Germany's foreign currency reserves. Another goal was to scout possible location for a German naval base. After Allied forces defeated Germany in World War II, thousands of Nazi officers, high-ranking party members, and collaborators, including many notorious war criminals, escaped across the Atlantic, finding refuge in South America, particularly Argentina, Chile, and Brazil. After 1945, Argentinian President Juan Perón, himself drawn to fascist ideologies, enlisted intelligence officers and diplomats to help establish rat lines, or escape routes via Spanish and Italian ports for many of the Third Reich. As thousands of Nazis and their collaborators poured into the continent, a sympathetic and sophisticated network developed, easing the transition for those who came after. Rumors spread about Hitler's escape. While no definitive evidence exists he escaped his bunker and crossed the ocean, such a network could have helped make it possible. A team of French pathologists recently studied Hitler's teeth remains and confirmed they match Hitler's dental records. However, as crafty the Nazis were, and Hitler being the number one wanted man in the world, is it difficult to imagine that he would be motivated enough to fake his own death, even going to the extent of pulling teeth out, leaving them behind as modified evidence? Rumors spread about Hitler escaping to South America in a U-boat, and then moving to a heavily fortified base in Antarctica. Karl Donitz, a Grand Admiral Navy officer of Hitler's Navy, stated in 1943 rather a bold and unique statement, making all the rumors of Antarctica more compelling. He said, "The German submarine fleet is proud of having built for the Führer in another part of the world a Shangri-La on land, an impregnable fortress." Could he have been referring to Antarctica? Was this the real motivation for the Neuschwabenland expedition that was officially said only to be for whale oil? After the war had ended in 1945, Lieutenant Admiral Byrd led an exploratory expedition in 1946. The outfit appeared to be fit more for a military invasion, which included a carrier, 2 seaplanes, 2 destroyers, 2 escort ships, 2 fueling ships, and a submarine. However, the ambitious, robust expedition was terminated early due to the approach of winter and worsening weather conditions in late February of 1947. Admiral Byrd on March 5, 1947, was quoted in a Chilean newspaper, El Mercurio, stating something extremely controversial. He said, "I don't want to frighten anyone unduly, but that it was a bitter reality that in case of a new war, the continental United States would be attacked by flying objects which could fly from pole to pole at incredible speeds." It was clarified later there was a translation error, and what Admiral Byrd really said was the United States could be attacked by planes flying over one or both poles. The Nazis were known for highly advanced military technology, like the first jet fighter, V-1 rocket, and highly advanced armored vehicles. They were also known for searching the world for many ancient relics that were said to contain ancient power in order to create a superweapon. Many claim the Nazis did manage to create these so-called futuristic techs like UFOs that could defy gravity and the confirmed Foo Fighters that caused electromagnetic interference in the Allied military fighter jets, causing their instruments to fail. There are more interesting and fantastical theories associated with Byrd and the Nazis. Hollow Earth, an old forgotten tale of the past that was once believed as truth. Until more recent times, many people were convinced that our planet was a hollow shell, with a civilization of earthly ancients residing below the surface. Some believe the Earth consisted of several shells separated by individual atmospheres, with the outermost layer having a thickness of about 900 kilometers. The Hollow Earth theory, which is heavily tied to the mysteriousness of Antarctica, references the natural phenomena like the aurora borealis and magnetic field variance were products of these layers. According to an alleged diary entry written by Byrd during his North Polar flight, he came across a warm, lush climate with mammoth-like creatures and an ancient human race that had been residing within the Earth. His plane was commandeered mid-air and landed for him by these inner Earth citizens, who intercepted him with saucer-shaped aircraft. Upon landing, he was met by emissaries of a civilization that many assumed to be the mythical Argharta. The people of Argharta expressed their concern about humanity's use of atomic bombs during World War II. An ambassador to return to the US government to relay their sentiment. The controversy regarding the validity of this fantastical diary entry is that it's dated February of 1947, the time when Operation Highjump had officially ended. If it is to be believed this story covers Byrd's inaugural flight over the North Pole, then one needs to look at the actual date when he achieved this feat more than 20 years earlier on May 9th, 1926. However, many believe due to the public pressure and the backing as financiers, it is said Byrd fabricated his navigation records, indicated he never made it to the North Pole, and this was referencing his South Pole expeditions in Antarctica during Operation Highjump. As noted earlier, it was known the Nazis had escaped to South America, adding military concern to the Allied forces of possible Nazi bases in the poles of the Earth, and possibly the true intention for Operation Highjump. The Antarctic rabbit hole continues to spiral with another mysterious claim. It is said maps believed to be Nazi instructions on how to reach Argharta are supposedly corroborated by a letter from a German U-boat navigator. There is some evidence suggesting the Nazis used the last of their resources searching for Argharta as a last desperate attempt for Hitler to escape in case of a dire emergency. Flat Earth exploded about 7 years ago with YouTube channels like the NASA channel, where Matt Powerland creates bizarre videos stating he was an ex-NASA employee who was hired as an artist to draw many of the pictures of planets you see. Other Flat Earth YouTube channels like Flat Earth Clues, Jeranism, and Rob Skiba have gained much popularity, even to the point of having an international Flat Earth conference with keynote speakers from all over the world that include pilots, authors, and even some engineers convinced that the Earth is flat. Antarctica is key to the Flat Earth theory, and here is why. Flat Earthers believe Antarctica is an ice wall that surrounds all the known lands. One of the peculiar references Flat Earthers make is the Antarctic Treaty. The treaty, which applies to the area south of the 60th parallel, is surprisingly short but remarkably effective. It is known as one of the most successful international treaties till this day. Surprisingly, the collaboration between USA and USSR was never jeopardized by the Cold War, space race, and the fall of USSR. Russia continues to be an insignia tour till this day. Another claim Flat Earthers make is you can't travel to Antarctica as a tourist below the 60th south parallel. Many Flat Earthers claim the success of the international treaty was to keep the truth of Antarctica secret, and possibly revealing the truth of the Flat Earth could prove all of modern science wrong. Flat Earthers believe scientists have a heavy influence and is considered a modern oligarchy. The key to keeping the truth from the people, according to the Flat Earthers, is making Antarctica inaccessible and at telling the public what Antarctica truly is. Antarctica is full of things that are majestic, historical, fantastical, and mysterious. Since its modern exploration, it's the continent filled with the most mystery, and it's associated with the most fantastical conspiracy theories. Could any of these theories or accounts be true about Antarctica? We may never know.